Welcome to Heart-Based Medicine's Insights podcast, featuring John Gray, PhD, Mars Venus President and CEO. What is heart-based medicine?
Heart-based medicine is helping doctors and the whole field of medicine to understand the energetics of human beings interconnecting. Empathy is a form of connection, and analyzing is a form of detachment. And as a doctor, as a healthcare professional, you'll need to be analytical, but often with customers or clients or patients, they're needing more of a connection. And whenever we stand back and analyze, we detach. And we have to do that, but there should be a foundation produced first, which is conversation, primarily where the provider is asking questions. Evoking responses. People can actually feel supported only if they share themselves. And they will only share themselves if they feel safe. So part of my contribution to heart-based medicine is helping us to understand, for men and women, there is a distinction sometimes of what makes us feel safe and when we don't feel safe. But generally speaking, anyone who comes to a doctor who's feeling distress is more on what I call the feminine side of us, needing help. And at that time, listening is such an important skill. And while it seems so easy and natural to listen, actually there's ways to improve it. And one of those ways is to have an attention on trying not to, in your mind, put off, if you can, the analysis and solving problem, and primarily focus on an understanding which starts with asking questions, help me understand that better, starts with a feeling of empathy, and then going beyond empathy to a place of compassion. Now, empathy, you can get trapped. Empathy is you're feeling what somebody's feeling. But often what they're feeling is they're feeling sorry for themselves. And then you start feeling sorry for them. And that is not helpful to them, and it also will lead to doctor burnout. So what you want to do is be able to hold your space. Often people call that presence, which is to hear what they're saying, but not buy into the pity. And the word for that is compassion. There's actually a distinction between empathy and compassion. Compassion is, I'm so glad I can hear their pain, I can understand their fear, I validate it. This is uncomfortable, this is fearful, whatever it might be the case. But come from a space, a presence, that is happy that they found you. Isn't it great? Life is filled with problems, and here you are. And we can provide the help that you need. You don't immediately say, I'm happy they're here. You hold that space inside that I'm sure happy they're getting help, and we can provide the help that they need. You know,
Why are physicians and healthcare professionals not more compassionate?
You know, the studies are showing that physicians and healthcare providers are really highly stressed. And when you're highly stressed already, you're not going to be providing a place where a person feels the center of attention. They need to feel connection. There's a magic we can learn from parents. If your child is crying, if you can feel a sense of empathy for the child and feel their pain, a power happens. The child feels better right away. But the child also feels better, one, that they had got an opportunity to express. Two, is that there was a validation and that you can relate in some way to their fear, to their hurt, to their sadness, to their anger. There's no trying to change how they feel, but actually a support that acknowledges it. Even if they're feeling sorry for themselves, you can feel the emotion of fear or the emotion of sadness. You connect with that, but you put it in a space. The context is compassion, which is, it's not such a bad thing. It's a tragedy. I mean, we see tragedies all the time. At the same time, a bigger belief needs to be there, which is that we learn from our suffering. We learn from our pain. And we can learn better and grow through it faster if somebody is there to help us. And the way you help, it primarily is with your skill and your technology and your analysis, providing a service. But prior to that, another help that people get is feeling the connection that they're not alone. Because ultimately we now know that most illness and sickness, not all, but most, comes from a place of stress. And we are stressed when we feel we have to do it all ourselves, when we feel that we're isolated, when we feel alone, when we feel disconnected. And so when someone goes to see a doctor, they're opening their heart up saying, I'm allowing you to give direction to me. First thing to do is not to quickly give solutions. I want to give one example of that. My daughter, one of my daughters, around 8th grade, I used to do all her homework. She felt she couldn't do math, and eventually she became the highest scoring calculus student in her university. Part of that was because Dad every night did her homework with her, and pretty much I did it, but she watched how I did it. And about 8th grade, it was getting pretty tough. I'd have to read the chapter of the math to do the answers, you know, to be reminded of the formulas and so forth. So my brother happened to be visiting, her uncle is my brother, and I said, oh, he's a math PhD, he can come help you. And so he said, okay, what's the problem? And so we saw the problem, and his reaction was, oh, that's easy, no problem. And immediately my daughter felt insulted, because from her side, well, if it's so easy for you, I must be so stupid. That's called validation, the opposite of validation. So if somebody's in pain or afraid or upset, don't be so quick to give them the reassurance of, no problem, we can handle this, we can fix it. There's a place for that if it's appropriate. But the first thing is to listen and to validate, to let them know that they're not alone in this, they're not stupid for feeling this. Then you can provide your expertise.
What kinds of resistance to this approach have you encountered?
In trying to provide the diverse knowledge of heart-based medicine, often there's a reaction inside of a physician, healthcare provider, that, you know, my problems are somebody else doing this. It's the administration, it's what they're allowing me to do, my schedule. There's a lot of blame of circumstances, and this is in every situation where people are stressed. They're always blaming someone, because when you're stressed, your body's making cortisol. When cortisol gets produced, blood flow stops from the prefrontal cortex and goes more to the limbic system of the brain, which is more like a monkey. And monkeys can only blame. That's cause and effect. They can't recognize how they contribute to the problem. If they're in pain, it's somebody else's fault. So we need to rise above that and recognize that if you're stressed, and this is now proven, doctors are so stressed today, yes, the system can be messed up without a doubt, but how you respond to it is more important. And there we have processes and techniques that people can do when they're not in the office. Also when they're with their client, to make sure you're not feeling sorry for patients, because then you feel responsible for them, then you can't sleep at night, because if they're suffering, it's your fault. We're not responsible for them, but we can help them with the best of our knowledge. We're not God. At the same time, more importantly, in my opinion, as an expert on relationships, is the #1 throughout history way to de-stress is by having a loving relationship at home. And people often neglect this. Basic things that in my books, Men Are From Mars, Women Are From Venus, and then more modern, after 25 years I wrote Beyond Mars and Venus, giving us tips and techniques to help us learn how to de-stress at home. One of the most powerful things for a man to de-stress, for example, is to forget his problems. And the last thing he wants is his wife saying to him, how was your day? He needs time to distract and forget and not talk. If he can not talk, but to be quiet. Now, I come from a lineage of 50-year meditator. That's certainly an ancient technique, but you could play a video game for 30 minutes. You can watch the news. You can read a newspaper. That was common in the 50s. Husbands hides behind the newspaper. That's important therapy for men, is to stop talking from the perspective of, I'm temporarily forgetting all my problems, to come back to a place of well-being. But women don't understand this, because for them the primary technique for stress reduction for women today is to talk about their emotions. Women are way on the masculine side of them. They need to come back to the feminine side. And to do that, the most powerful thing is to talk about emotions and feelings without solutions, just to share, to connect. Literally, it's like my wife saying to me, John, I've been so busy today, so many things have happened, I just want to connect with you and let you know what's going on inside of me. So I go into her and we connect. She doesn't have to ask me questions. I'm trying to forget my day. I don't want to talk about my day. She feels the disconnection, which causes stress to her. But she can connect by not asking him questions, but instead by learning how to communicate with him, share her feelings in a way that doesn't make him feel blamed, but to be more vulnerable, to experience more emotion, because we know now that the most powerful thing for women to experience well-being is to talk about their feelings. But how to do that is a way, which is a new art, which we teach in heart-based medicine. We help our clients in the office, but we also at home, we able to restore, come back, revive ourselves so that we can come back into the office. And a hospital is a stressful place. It will drain anybody. Regardless of anything you do, it's going to drain you. because people are in pain, and you have this compassion. And even if you're not feeling sorry for them, you're feeling the compassion, still, they will pull energy from you. Literally, you can measure ions flowing from you to them energetically when you touch them. You can measure this touching the earth. Ions will flow to you. They recharge you. That's why people say walking on the beach barefoot or something like that is so helpful. They call it grounding. Same thing happens. They've shown that the body becomes depleted, the body can be regenerated. Well, all of these techniques that you can do in your relationship help to regenerate your body. You feel revived, and then you go out with a lot of pain and suffering. The energy levels will start to drop. You have to revive. You have to replenish. In a sense, you bring your light and love to others. It uplifts them. You come down a bit. You come home. You recharge. So you can now benevolently give your energy as well as your wisdom. So one of the challenges, whether it be both husband and wife or CEOs of a company or they're both medical doctors, they have to recognize one truth. The truth is, we've seen in studies that when women come home from work, their stress levels double. When men come home from work, their stress levels go down. So this is a distinction because men typically, at least most men, have the ability to forget their job, to forget work, and leave it behind. Women's brains tend to obsess, go over it and over it and over it. Now, I have to do this, I have to do this, I have to do this. Suddenly, a messy house is more important than her relaxation. You see, they prioritize, I have to do, I have to do, I have to do. Their brain's very busy because they're too far on their male side. They've been at work all day. They haven't been producing a lot of female hormones. They're actually making more testosterone. Whenever you're in a stress state trying to solve problems, your body makes testosterone. Now, that's good for men. You see, men need 10 to 30 times more testosterone for well-being. Women, they need more estrogen during part of their cycle, then they need more progesterone during the other part of their cycle. But the production of testosterone through the day inhibits the production of progesterone, actually uses up your progesterone when you make testosterone. That's how her body makes testosterone, is from progesterone, which is the dominant hormone she requires during the 12 days after ovulation. The 12 days before, when she's moving up to ovulation, or approximate times, she's moving up, she needs to have a dominant of estrogen production. And estrogen production is something she can primarily get through talking about her feelings with somebody she feels safe with. Ideally, some of that can be done with her husband, but it doesn't all have to be done with her husband, because he might be busy in his cave, forgetting all his problems. She can call up a girlfriend, she can go spend time in the garden, she can pray to God, but the best thing, what I've seen, is talking about emotions, which might sound like complaining, but if she's talking to a friend, it's not complaining. If you're talking to her husband and it's about him, then it's complaining, and it doesn't increase estrogen. Because when you complain to your partner, you're emotional and you complain to them, you're trying to change them. Anytime you're trying to solve a problem, you're actually making testosterone. When somebody's solving a problem for you, then your estrogen levels can go up. It's called pair bonding. Pair bonding is where you need help from someone. Well, if you need help and you talk about what you need, your estrogen levels go up if you anticipate getting what you need. The person who's anticipating helping you, their testosterone goes up. So it's a perfect blend of male-female. If men learn to listen, women learn to share. But if she's really stressed at him, she should talk to a girlfriend, come back to a heartfelt place, then can talk about problems at work, which is, if you're a medical doctor, there's all kinds of stresses that you numb yourself to, and that hurts women. That's why women's stress levels are so high. Well, there's nothing I can do about it, forget it. There's nothing I can do about it, forget it. Well, I can't do anything about it, forget it. That's how men process stress. But for women, we know biologically she needs different hormones. When you minimize emotion, your testosterone increases. No problem, no big deal. I can't do anything about it, forget it, can't feel it, disconnect. That's testosterone. Estrogen is connection, it's love, it's empathy, and it's compassion. It's particularly compassion when you have a blend of testosterone, estrogen. When you blend the male side of you and the female side of you, you're able to get this wonderful feeling of compassion, which is a trust that aren't they happy, aren't they lucky to be with you, and that they're going to learn something from this. You can help them as best you can help them, but you're not God. You can't fix them.
Should medical establishments provide spaces and groups for the purpose of sharing emotional reactions to the pressures of work?
When I talk to workshop, when I give my presentations to corporations or hospitals or whatever, people always want, okay, what can we do here to make things better? And yes, there's so many things you can do here to make things better, okay, without a doubt. But you've got to first have an understanding of men and women are different. How do you provide that support? And you have to experience being able to give and receive that support. And to create a team of people that can really appreciate that, they need to experience it where they're more safe, which is in a personal relationship. And you can't just say work is, we're going to make no stress at work and then and work's going to do it all. No, you have to have a personal life. Life is not just work and love. You have to have a place where it's just safe, it's unconditional, you're there, you give and receive equally. The workplace is not a nurturing relationship, period. It can be more nurturing without a doubt, but the workplace is for money. We do this for money, okay? We're not doing it just because we love people. You have to have that. That's a vitamin that we require, is the ability to love people unconditionally because I love you, not that I'm getting paid for it. I'm not doing this for the goal. I'm doing this because I care about you. And the workplace certainly can be improved in a variety of ways. But once you even have those technologies for building team support, better communication skills, this is things we should all learn as well. But to be able to apply that, you have to come from a place of heart-centeredness. You have to be centered in your heart, and that your heart is replenished. You become drained at work. Just the stress that's around you will drain you. You have to have a place to go outside of the workplace to replenish yourself. And some people do not have that, and they keep expecting the workplace to replenish them. And without a doubt, it can to some degree, but you've got to be able to have your personal life be one which is supportive of you. And the bottom line of support is to create relationships in your life which are loving, nurturing, and supported. Just like we need medicine, we need good nutrition, we need exercise, we need love. We need to feel that we create loving relationships where we freely give and we receive back.
This has been a Heart-Based Medicine production. Thanks for listening.